Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first episode of CIW Saturday Night Battle City. I am the Sentinel here to call all of the action. We begin with the first matchup of the Millenium Championship Tournament. First, Mitsurugi, wearing his Soul Calibur 2 attire, the famed Master Samurai and adversary of Taki, made his very first appearance in Colonial Impact Wrestling on January 29th, 2026 at the Battalion Brawl, where he entered 8th and finished 4th. He will be facing 3 other competitors in this first round matchup, 1 fall to a finish, no eliminations, and they will move on to the triple threat second round. Principal Skinner made his debut on that same January 29th, 2026 Battalion Brawl at the CIW Anniversary Wrestlebration Drummers Call, where he entered 2nd and was eliminated 1st. As he has been looking to make a statement here, the master of the Skinnerplex, Mitsurugi's finisher known as the Pretentious Fool, which on a side note is also the adjectives I would use to describe the proprietor of this program. As our famed and illustrious leader, the counselor of the production of Battle City, Maximillian Pegasus. As no, I'm not saying what's on this shit. No, I'm not doing that. I know you wrote this for me. I'm not doing that. Grim Reaper enters number 3 of 4 in this fatal 4-way matchup. As the Grim Reaper, a CIW original from 2014, has won 0 championships in Colonial Impact Wrestling, looking to win the Millennium Championship to earn himself a chance to cash in that belt at any time for a CIW Heavyweight Championship match at the time of the winner's choosing. That tournament will also have a matchup in the main event tonight of Battle City, another fatal 4-way match between King Leonidas, Ki-Adi-Mundi, Jimmy Korderas, and the Penguin. Grim Reaper, the master of the Tombstone, currently under the servitude of Dante, after Dante achieved victory against Grim Reaper in a last man standing match, and then a couple of days later against Satan in a buried alive match at the Anniversary Wrestlebration 12. And as a result of the stipulation of those 2 matches, Dante now runs hell, as it is a living hell for this man, the Grim Reaper, associated with mostly paperwork and logistical maneuverings of the inner workings of Helheim. But can he achieve victory here today? As a losing streak of rather large consequence he is currently amidst, can he find a way to break the streak and to get him back into the win column in this ever so vital first round kickoff debut match for Battle City? We also have a match later on tonight for the CIW Mirror Force Championship Tournament. We will get to that in just a minute. Here comes entrant number 4, Bully Maguire. And it is hard to do this really deadpan kind of style when this man makes me smile so much. Bully Maguire, I know you want me to keep professional, but it's hard. It's hard to do when this man, a former CIW heavyweight champion, held that belt for a year and change as CIW was going through very troubled waters at that time when the Joker took the belt away from CIW for a full year. The man who stepped up to the plate, who answered the call, was Bully Maguire. He was in the first ever CIW match and is looking to make this victory here tonight the first step towards re-entering the heavyweight championship picture. Can he win the Millennium Championship? He'll make his statement and progress there tonight. But before we do, let's get to the brackets. Millenium Championship. First round. Here we go. Now a front face lock from Bully Maguire. As Mitsurugi has got Principal Skinner up top, we have senior referee Jerry Jones assigned to this contest. And now Bully Maguire trying to lift up the Grim Reaper, but the big bag of bones that is the Grim Reaper having the advantage there. As we know that it does take, I mean, Grim Reaper, he looks like he's skinny and he's just bones, but bones are heavy. He's got a very, very, very deep bone density, very difficult to lift. And a difficult fatal four-way situation here, as it is one fall to a finish as mentioned before, which means that you have to keep your eyes in your front, the back, and the sides of your head, because anytime that somebody's got a submission hold, that could end the match. Anytime somebody goes for a cover, that could end the match, and it's very easy to be caught unawares in this style of matchup. As a matter of fact, the whole reason that Grim Reapers under the servitude of Dante actually began in the spring tournament last year, the GW Climax, when Dante beat Satan in 90 seconds in a fatal four-way matchup in that tournament with the same rules, and a rope break there with a half Boston Crab by Mitsurugi and a nice kitchen sink, trying to get to all places at once, and is doing a pretty good job of it. Referee Jerry Jones has got to keep his wits about him here tonight. Here in this first matchup of 3 in the debut episode of Battle City, as we bring to you every 2 weeks more tournament action as we get set to crown the first series of champions, with the caveat being that those winners of those tournaments can cash in for their respective championship associations at the time of their choosing. The Millennium Championship. The Millennial Championship was only around back in the 90s and a leg drop, but the Millennium, nobody remembers it except millennials. But the Millennium Championship is the gateway to the CIW Heavyweight Championship. We're going to have a Raigeki Championship established for probably during the summer. That's going to be for the Exceed Championship. We've got the Mirror Force Championships, which are for the tag division, which we're going to get a matchup coming up next of that. And and a rolling up using the long waistcoat of Principal Skinner, who is trying to make a case to Jerry Jones that it exhausted Mitsurugi to do that. Mitsurugi used the tights and needed a hot minute to catch his breath. And oh, what a heel kick! Those big samurai block sandals, doing some pretty devastating moves. Of course, the Pretend Bully has the Bellini, and we've seen win championships on more than one occasion. Well, on one occasion specifically, but it also defended championships. So, and oh, what a right hand from Skinner after a low blow from Grim Reaper to Mitsurugi. And folks, if you're new to CIW, low blows are completely legal in CIW. It is allowed, encouraged. It's dirty. We don't respect it, but it is allowed. Disqualifications only occur purely with disqualifications as far as hitting the referee a good number of times, or by using a weapon, or by exploiting a referee's count of 5 until it reaches 5 on a rope break. No, shot to the gut. Bully Maguire on the outside. Looks like he's pretty incapacitated for the time being. Sweeping DDT from Mitsurugi. All 4 of these men looking to advance to the round 2 triple threat semifinals of the Millennium Championship Tournament, which will air in several weeks. We have 6 first round matches to get to. Oh, wait a second. Mitsurugi, what is Mitsurugi up to? This could be, he's got it, the pretentious fool! Right in the center of the ring to Principal Skinner. The cover, 1, 2, 3, and Grim Reaper not able to get there in time. As what a victory for that man, Mitsurugi. As you see the instant replay, some pretty major impacts, but that one there is the one that put it away. The major pretentious fool, the cover, it was over, and on to the second round is Mitsurugi, as he anxiously awaits 5 more matchups to determine who he will face. But a great win by this samurai, and let's take you to the bracket to show you who is up in the wings and what's changed before we get to our next matchup. Our next matchup here on CIW Battle City will begin the Mirror Force Tag Team Championship Tournament. It is a triple threat tag team hardcore rules, meaning falls count anywhere and weapons can be used at any time. Introducing first, we have the team of the Unforgettable, former tag team champions, at least one half of this team is, the Ultimate Beast, Brandon Ulrich, and Johnny Cage. Ulrich and Johnny Cage were in the Tag Team Championship matchup at the Anniversary WrestleBration 12, where they were soundly defeated by a great strategy by the current champions, the Angry Luigis, Waluigi, and Luigi. As Johnny Cage was exploited from the very beginning, was not allowed to tag in. In comes the next tag team of this matchup, Noob-Smoke. With 4 Exceeds championships between them, Smoke with 1, Noob-Saibot with 3, the most decorated tag team with championship prestige, albeit in singles action. Noob-Smoke looking to right their fortunes here tonight and begin a win streak of their own, as they were in a very fierce competition against Eminem and Dave Chappelle back at the WrestleBration 12, an intense matchup that kicked off day 1 of that show. But they would love nothing more than championship gold around their waist and to be the first Mirror Force champions, with the idea that they could cash in for a title match for those tag titles at any time of their choosing. And here comes team number 3, one half at a time. And once again, I'm sorry, but I love these guys so much. The Greasy Green Gigolos, here comes Reptile, and your script be damned, Pegasus, because this man, along with Piccolo, has had such an impact on CIW for so long. And their long quest to win the CIW Tag Team Championships, which they finally did from DC at the WrestleBration 10, which was such a vicious place and an incredible time, as it was a 780-day reign that took place for Duncaring, DC, that the Greasy Green Gigolos were finally able to beat. WrestleBration 11, I'm sorry, that took place in 2025. And they ultimately lost to the Forgotten Fighters in Jack 7 and the Ultimate Beast, Brandon Ulrich. But here comes Piccolo, which means you have to imagine that there will be some animosity between these two teams, as Noob-Smoke is also in the mix, all weapons allowed. But the ultimate climb to win those belts, the way that it was tragically taken away from them by the Forgotten Fighters, but that has not stopped the positive attitude of the Greasy Green Gigolos as they begin their reascent to CIW Tag Team Championship glory. Can they do it with a victory here against two very well respected, well, one of them's respected. I respect Noob-Smoke. I don't respect the Unforgettable, because they drugged somebody to kick them out of their group in order to become what they are now, as that is not the way that this group has functioned. It's been parties, it's been jolly, it's been a wonderful time. It's round 1 action. Let's take a look at the board for this tournament matchup. Mirror Force Championships, round 1. Here we go. And everything's staying in the ring to start, but it is not going to last that way, ladies and gentlemen. These triple threat tornado tag matches tend to combust very quickly. Because right now we've got a Nemurian crab onto Noob-Saibot from Piccolo. And a right hand to Reptile by Brandon Ulrich, the largest man in this group. As a matter of fact, Brandon Ulrich won the opportunity for the Tag Team Championship match against the Gigolos in a triple threat hardcore tornado tag match last year, where he basically stayed in the ring the entire time and just laid waste to everybody in sight. As folks, these are a little bit difficult to call. There's a lot of action happening at once. Jerry Jones, again, be quite careful in his mid-80s. But folks, if Jerry Jones is caught in the line of fire, the best way to make sure his medical bills are paid for and accommodated is to like, is to share, is to subscribe. Nice double drop kick onto Noob-Saibot. is to share, is to comment, not necessarily in that order. Switch that bell button to all so you'll know every time we post. To hashtag save a referee today. Elbow drop from the top rope by Piccolo. And a nice backbreaker there by Noob-Smoke, as the steel chairs are now flying as the weapons have gotten into the ring, and that is going to mean a bad time for anyone in range. Oh, what a chair shot by Piccolo. Oh, God! As Piccolo wailing that chair. As Noob-Smoke's got a barbed wire bat. And roll up from Reptile. False count anywhere. 1, 2, and only 2. Brandon Ulrich kicks out, and a superplex from Piccolo onto Johnny Cage. As Noob-Smoke trying to find their way into this, as it's so far been Gigolos and Unforgettable clashing back and forth as the weaponry is being brought in by Noob-Smoke, and Piccolo continues to just wail that barbed wire 2x4 at anything in sight. 2 sledgehammers in the ring now. Referee Jerry Jones just trying to stay on top of everything. False count anywhere, no countouts, no disqualifications here in this first round. And we will get just a regular tag match for round number 2. There are 4 triple threat tornado tags in this tournament, as you saw in the bracket just a few minutes ago. And oh, wait a second. Smoke screen from Smoke onto Piccolo. But Smoke not going for a cover there, and maybe thinks that he's not done enough damage. But that might have been the time to go for it. And oh, swinging for the fences is Reptile. As now Johnny Cage and Brandon Ulrich taking a minute. Beast Slayer onto Smoke. And that could be the end of it. Johnny Cage doing the CIW shuffle and an atomic drop from Piccolo, Piccolo and Reptile running into Johnny Cage and raking the barbed wire right into the face of Johnny Cage, who's and now doing the CIW shuffle in his honor. As Johnny Cage he hasn't been quite right since jumping off a steel cage back in November of last year, and actually it was in September of last year, and landing head first in a move that we are still questioning the motives of to this day. And it has definitely played a factor here in this. He lost the false count anywhere match of his own. Oh, wait a second. Special beam pile driver onto Smoke as Brandon Ulrich preoccupied with Reptile and Noob-Smoke. And Piccolo not going for a cover. There's kind of too many bodies around him, as Johnny Cage is just avoiding confrontation at any cost here in this first round matchup, which must be frustrating for Ulrich, who has been picked up a sledgehammer and immediately gets his face bashed into the knee from Piccolo. Johnny Cage. Reptile is just wailing on Noob-Smoke, as these 3 teams looking to win the first ever Mirror Force Championships and ultimately work their way towards the CIW Tag Team titles. And another shot to the face from the knee of Piccolo onto Johnny Cage. And now we've got a double CIW shuffle from Noob-Smoke, who are having a little bit of a caucus, as Reptile once again trying to break the CIW shuffle up with weaponry, and successfully does so. Piccolo now outside of the ring trying to give his partner a hand. Johnny Cage in a bad way. Reptile just tossing Noob-Smoke. Now Johnny trying to get back into the mix. Ulrich taking a second. This has been a brutal matchup on the hey. And now get away from our table. Get away from our, as in my table. As, hey, we would like to keep this intact, man. We have to pay for these tables now. We don't get bonuses. Piccolo, come on, man. Piccolo, come on. Take it easy, man. Don't. A special beam pile driver onto the table won the matchup as I just got my headset back on, and there it was, the special beam pile driver and a cover from Piccolo to get the cover. 1, 2, and 3. The Greasy Green Gigolos, through my announce table, beat Johnny Cage and move on in the first of 4 first-round matches for the Mirror Force Championships. What a win by the Greasy Green Gigolos, one of the finest tag teams CIW has to offer. Here's a look at the bracket as we move on to our next matchup. Here comes the main event of CIW Battle City Episode 1. We finish off with the second of 6 first-round matchups, fatal 4-way in nature, no eliminations, 1 fall to a finish in the first round of the Millenium Championship Tournament. Here comes Ki-Adi-Mundi, the master of living on my Guido, the almond-shaped Jedi himself, who has had to change it from an almond to a pistachio for because of the State Athletic Commission had some regulations he had to adhere to. But in any case, Ki-Adi-Mundi, who also made his debut at the January 29th Battalion Brawl, and on that January 29th Battalion Brawl, he entered 5th and was eliminated, I believe, 3rd in a series of major matchups and major debuts of full-time CIW wrestlers. Can he be the Millennium Champion? Here comes the Penguin, a CIW original, a former one-time CIW Tag Team Champion alongside the remainder of Dun Caring, which included Aquaman and Batman, and subsequently the Riddler, who ended up doing more harm than good. But the Penguin, a very slimy individual, nearly had control of CIW at one point when Michael Corleone bet all the contracts against his former Antarctic Mafia partner. And Corleone, they are CIW CEO and the chair of the council of... Oh, God! Fuck me! I don't care what you wrote for me. I can't sit there and stare at that. I'm never gonna get used to that, man. I just put it away. Put it back in the deck. Here comes the CIW Counselor of Officiating, Jimmy Korderas. A legendary referee in professional wrestling, Jimmy Korderas was promoted to the Counselor of Officiating in the CIW 6 and has stepped into the ring here today. The last time we saw Jimmy Korderas wrestle was in a major triple threat match at the Stand on Business 300 subscriber special back on August 10th of 2025, where Jimmy Korderas beat Kratos and Stone Cold Steve Austin with a 3-count stunner. Jimmy Korderas, a well-respected staple of CIW from the very beginning. We are very appreciative of everything that Jimmy Korderas does for Colonial Impact Wrestling. And here comes, last but not least, certainly not least, as maybe the biggest name of CIW's tournament, Millennium Tournament in Battle City, King Leonidas. Leonidas, who made his impression right after the match that Jimmy Korderas won, as he debuted this new graphic era of CIW, as we were but a poor camera upon television era, but now we are direct to your television sets, as King Leonidas was the first man to set foot in that new era, staring down Kratos, beat Kratos in 10 seconds in their first match, beat him in 5 minutes in their second, and won a best of 3 falls at the WrestleBration 12 a couple of weeks ago, as his momentum is through the roof and is perhaps an unstoppable train, the legendary ruler of Sparta, with the feared This Is Sparta kick and the Phalanx bomb. Will he get the victory here today? Let's take you to the bracket. Millennium Championship Tournament. Round 1. Here we go. A big right hand from Jimmy Korderas to start this off. Penguin leaving the ring like a slimy little cuckbag. That's right, I said slimy little cuckbag. And a big suplex there from Ki-Adi-Mundi. That is what the Penguin is. As I can neither confirm nor deny Penguin's involvement of files of any sort, but we have some information That's all we're going to say. So we may not see more of Penguin in the future. I don't know if we can keep him on that basis. I mean, something's got to be done about that. But again, that's just allegations. We have no official paperwork, at least not yet. Everything's blacked out. And a punch to the dick by Ki-Adi-Mundi, and now, oh my God, Leonidas just beating down the Penguin with a ground and pound. But a rake to the eyes from the Penguin. Pinfalls count only in the ring, 1 fall to a finish, so all 4 of these men have to be very, very diligent and vigilant in making sure that they are able to be in a position where they can break up pinfalls as necessary. Airplane spin by Korderas. Onto Ki-Adi-Mundi. Jimmy Korderas, the master of the 3-count stunner. Penguin has the penguin plunge. Ki-Adi-Mundi with the saber toss. And now with a nice wrist lock there from Ki-Adi-Mundi and a leg drop to the arm. As chops raining down onto the big, billowy alabaster white chest of the Penguin. Penguin is the reason The Biggest Loser as a TV series was canceled. It was just impossible for him. And he also didn't want to try. And he also was having an illegal gambling ring around how much weight people lost. So it was just a bad time all the way around. As Ki-Adi-Mundi going face to face with the Spartan, who is in his record of Ragnarok attire. Jimmy Korderas with a big elbow or a knee strike, I'm sorry. A big knee strike onto the big baldy nose of the Penguin. And a double throwdown there from Leonidas and Ki-Adi-Mundi, forming a very temporary alliance. As now Penguin has got Ki-Adi-Mundi and looks to do a fall-away slam to the outside. And that is blacktop, ladies and gentlemen. That is not soft padding that Ki-Adi-Mundi has landed on, but look at the strength of King Leonidas just wrenching him up in that double chicken wing. And as a Penguin, it's hard to get the wings separate from Penguins in general. So that is a very, oh my God! King Leonidas with a thunderous clothesline that hit both men in Jimmy Korderas and Ki-Adi-Mundi. And I think they're lucky that that wave of momentum didn't extend further than that. As Jimmy Korderas, a counter there with a headlock to Ki-Adi-Mundi. Penguin is not looking in good shape. As all of these men, oh no. King Leonidas staring directly into the eyes of the Penguin when he hit the phalanx bomb. But Ki-Adi-Mundi breaks the cover. I've never seen such deliberate mockery. The cover again, one and only one, as the Penguin breaks it up. As just that ever so brief turn to the head to the right, stare down of the Penguin before the phalanx bomb, as Jimmy Korderas just trying to keep his wits about him here. Oh no, Leonidas might be hitting a big time muscle buster, as the skeletal frame of Ki-Adi-Mundi is compromised. And now the Penguin being thrown with ease by King Leonidas, exerting his unmatched strength. I mean, to be a man who beat Kratos not once, not twice, but technically 4 times in 5 pinfall occurrences is quite remarkable. And you could argue that that fall that Kratos won was purely that he caught King Leonidas off guard. This man is dangerous. This man is incredibly dangerous. You can see it in the way that Penguin is limping. Jimmy Korderas' head, he's holding his head. He's in rough shape. You can't tell me that Ki-Adi-Mundi's feeling much better. And I'm not sure that King Leonidas has even broken a sweat amidst these competitors, as the Penguin trying to just take a powder on the outside. Referee Jerry Jones trying to keep in the middle of all of it. Oh, what is this? Fall away slam on the outside. Not to the outside, but on the outside. Still devastating. Back suplex from Jimmy Korderas. And now, oh God, and now Jimmy being tossed out of the ring. As this is not low, what is going on here? As, oh, look at this. What is he lining up for? This is Sparta! The This is Sparta kick out of nowhere. 1, 2, 3. As that was incredibly calculated. What a win by King Leonidas, who dominated throughout the whole match. I mean, this muscle buster, that definitely had to cripple Ki-Adi-Mundi, but ultimately, the This Is Sparta kick, Penguin couldn't get there in time. What a win from King Leonidas, moving on in the Millenium Championship Tournament. What a victory by King Leonidas, whose wave of momentum seems unstoppable in Colonial Impact Wrestling. Thank you for coming for the first episode of CIW Battle City. We're going to take you to the graphic of the tournament, and we will see you next time.